What happened here? Starship 31 damaged during testing. What now? The third tower section arrives at Starbase, construction starts soon, Starship Block 2 part spotted, why would they change it? And Kathy Lueders, the general manager of Starbase, is dropping a bombshell. My name is Felix, welcome to What About It, let's dive right in. Starship updates. It just keeps getting crazier. SpaceX delayed Starship stacking, Ship 31 testing went wild, and we went up in a heli. Wanna know more? Let's do this, follow me. Today's journey begins at the Orbital launch site, where SpaceX is gearing up for the fourth launch of Starship. The old vertical GSE tank farm is getting dismantled further. After a short break, workers decided to host another torch party. Over the past few weeks, multiple trucks have been busy extracting all the perlite hidden beneath one of the GSE shells. Once this was done, the cutting began, and it didn't take long to reveal what lay underneath. And what was hiding under that shell? It was GSE Tank 2, also known as the liquid nitrogen tank. As you can see, part of it is covered in a layer of white substance. And there is a good reason for this as well. That white layer is perlite insulation, which consists of granulated volcanic glass. This material filled the space between the shell and the tank to prevent heat transfer. Cryogenic propellants stored at such low temperatures really want to revert to gas. So without this insulation, the tanks would need constant refilling. While some workers were scrapping the shell, another team lifted the tank itself on the night of May 14th. This means that 4 out of the 8 tanks are now gone. With the rapid progression of the horizontal tank farm, it's likely that Flight 4 will be primarily or even exclusively fueled by the new farm. Additionally, SpaceX engineers are already eyeing one of the vertical liquid oxygen tanks, so its days may be numbered as well. Goodbye, vertical tank farm, we won't miss you. Because you were huge and right in front of our rocket. Regarding the fourth Starship itself, as mentioned in the previous episode, both Booster 11 and Ship 29 have recently made their way to the Orbital launch tower. By now we expected to see a full stack and a complete wet dress rehearsal with the rocket nearly ready for launch. However, the upper stage is yet to be stacked. So what's causing the delay? Well, it began as usual. On May 13th, Ship 29 was positioned between the chopsticks and the arms were even raised in preparation for a full stack. However, a few hours later, the prototype was moved away from the tower and closer to the suborbital tank farm. At first it looked like the arms themselves were having an issue, possibly related to the stabilization pins or the recently added padding. But the real reason was way more unexpected. All of this was based on an incident with another prototype. So what do you mean by an incident? Did we lose a Starship? To understand this, we need to shift our focus temporarily to Massey's, where SpaceX conducts all cryogenic testing before the formal test campaign of a booster or ship. Recently, Ship 31, which is likely to be used during flight number 6, arrived here for testing. Typically, ships undergo 2 cryogenic proofs at Massey's. Both of them fill the oxygen and methane tanks with nitrogen. On May 12th, during such a test, La Padre captured some intense flashing on the leeward side of Ship 31. Ah, I know what this is. They finally added back the hot gas thrusters, right? Well, no. Later images taken by our photographer John revealed that things got a bit toasty around the raceway area. The raceway, by the way, shields all the cables for avionics, which are crucial for communication between different parts of the prototype. While there was noticeable arcing and an electrical fire, these seem to be effects rather than the cause of the issues with Ship 31. Upon closer inspection of the prototype, a bent pipe is visible in one area. Though its exact purpose is unknown, it may have ruptured during testing, damaging the raceway and severing high voltage cables, which then began arcing. That accident obviously halted the test campaign of this prototype, forcing the workers to roll it back to the high bay, which happened 2 days later. Okay, that's pretty bad, but how is it connected to Ship 29? Good question. While Ship 29 was away from the tower, workers removed part of its raceway cover, suggesting they checked whether the same issue could occur on this prototype. After all, if Ship 29 started arcing just before liftoff, things could get dangerous. Kathy Lueders, Starbase general manager, gave a space talk on Tuesday, May 14th, about all sorts of things we'll talk about today. In this talk, she confirmed what we'd suspected earlier. This incident has indeed delayed the Ship 29 and Booster 11 wet dress rehearsal, which is now expected to finish within the next week or so. On the upside, the delayed stacking allowed us to take some pictures to compare Ship 29 before and after its visit to the production site. Unless there are a lot of internal changes, the upgrades done to the prototype appear to be mostly related to the heat shield. Interestingly, some tiles still have markings, which could indicate that they are cracked. The second most visible change is the addition of 4 antenna covers, which were introduced with Ship 28. Lastly, and perhaps most importantly, Ship 29 now features roll vents similar to those installed on Ship 30. This could be a game changer for the next launch of Starship, as during Mission 3 many issues seem to stem from the inability to stop the prototype from rolling. Do you think these upgrades will result in the prototype performing better during the next launch? Please let me know in the comments below. On the night of May 15th, Ship 29 was once again rolled between the arms of Mechazilla. If SpaceX decided to stack it, you will see the footage of it right now. Like now. There it is. Due to this delay, the May 14th road closure wasn't used for wet dress rehearsal. Instead, the road was closed, the pad cleared, but nothing special happened for 2 hours, and then the road was reopened. Siesta. At the time of recording this episode, the closure for the 16th still hasn't been revoked, so it is possible that by the time you're watching this, Starship has already cleared the WDR and is mostly ready for launch. The weather has been unpredictable over the last few weeks, but with the help of Redline helicopter tours, we've finally managed to get an aerial view of Starbase. As always, this has revealed a few very exciting things. Over at the former suborbital site, Pad B is nearly gone, and it's only a matter of time until the remainder of the tank farm is dismantled. Unless SpaceX plans to adapt it for the second tower. The piling activity is in full swing, particularly behind the Gateway to Mars wall, suggesting this area could become the foundation for either the new tower or the orbital launch table. The aerial view also showed that the mountain of soil is nearly gone, with most of it spread out in front of the sign. This area might serve as a temporary staging ground or a parking lot. Additionally, SpaceX is adding concrete barrier blocks around the perimeter of the new site. Unfortunately, it looks like sooner or later the Gateway to Mars sign will be removed, though it is possible they'll relocate it closer to the road. Of course, I've mentioned the second orbital launch site for a purpose. The second launch tower is coming, literally. During our flyover, our photographers visited the port of Brownsville, where SpaceX has stored 5 tower segments for the past few months. Do you see it? One segment is missing. Where'd it go? It turns out that this segment was already on the move as we spotted it further down the road. Later that night, it was transported to the Sanchez site where it joined segments 8 and 9. Given its shorter length compared to the other segments, it is clear that this is segment 7. SpaceX actually changed the length of some sections as they've had issues with balance during the construction of tower number 1. And you can see the difference thanks to this animation created by our very own animator, Whooper. This section is already mostly complete, with stairs and the rails for Mechazilla already pre-installed. Back at the port, another section is waiting on top of 2 SPM transporters, so it will likely be moved next. If all goes according to plan, all 5 sections will be at Sanchez site within the next week. I can't wait to see the second tower at Starbase. Exciting times are coming. Did you know you can take a helicopter ride over Starbase and get the same views as in our videos? Visit redlineheli.com/Felix to book your own helicopter ride over Starbase with $25 off. Give it a try, you'll love it. Now before we continue, here is a quick word from our sponsor. I came across Bloomberg's article on America's new moon race being between Elon Musk and Jeff Bezos, which was really interesting to think about considering it wasn't that long ago that the race to space was exclusively a competition between countries. So of course I am using ground news to see what others are saying about this. What I love about having their web extension is not having to do any extra work to cross-reference my information and see what others are saying about the news I'm reading. Clicking on full coverage, I find the full breakdown with a quick summary up top and all the articles ground news collected down below. I can instantly see how many sources are reporting on this topic and it being a complete blind spot for the right. I prefer only reading from highly factual or credible sources though, and quickly found NASA's own reporting on how they partnered up with SpaceX and Jeff Bezos' Blue Origin to develop lunar landers for large cargo deliveries. I keep working with ground news because they are not only the world's first news comparison platform, but they make diving deep into topics I really care about extremely easy, considering science rarely dominates headlines. comments. So go to ground.news/WAI for 40% off the Vantage subscription, which is what I use, or start for just $1 per month. And it is way cheaper than the tickets Elon is selling for a seat on his Falcon 9 to the ISS. Just say it. Again, that is ground.news/WAI for 40% off the Vantage subscription, and by signing up, you will be supporting our channel. Alright, welcome back. As we're already at the build site, let's explore what has changed here over the last week. Starting on the ground, we captured a booster forward dome being moved to the front of the first megabay. Are they already building another Super Heavy? Well, not exactly. The label on this part reads B14.1, a naming scheme usually associated with test tanks rather than flight-ready vehicles. In fact, this forward dome connects to a part we saw back in April. Back then, for a brief moment, a common section was visible at the production site before it entered Starfactory. Its label suggested that it was a part of the 13.1 tank, but if you zoom in, you'll see that in fact it was renamed to 14.1. These two sections will likely combine to create one tank. One interesting fact about it is that all of its vents were welded shut. However, the recent Booster 13 also didn't have vents at the top, so they might have just upgraded it to the current design. As for what it could be used for, it is hard to say. One possibility is that it's a test article to certify the new tank crusher, which we'll discuss later. Alternatively, this could be a tank that tests some new internal design for the second generation of Super Heavy boosters. What do you think? What's the purpose of B14.1? Place your bets in the comments. Now, before I tell you about one of the first parts of the Block 2 Starship, we've looked into our channel metrics and there are over 2 million returning monthly viewers who have not subscribed yet. Help us improve the channel even further by double checking that you've hit that subscribe button so you don't miss our updates. While you're at it, give us a like and become a wise supporter for exclusive SpaceX updates. With it, you get access to daily Starbase photo galleries with hundreds of pictures, including satellite, aerial and ground photos of SpaceX's progress and countless other extras on top. And no matter how much you decide to give, everyone gets the same supporter content and access. You decide what you want to give. Okay, back to Starship news. As you may know, not too long ago, Elon Musk himself announced the second generation of Starship.
We've got a Block, sort of a version 2 ship that will be more reliable, better performance, endurance.
It gave a very unique insight into a new Starship era to come, especially when the renders of this new prototype revealed a new design for the forward flaps. Initially, we thought this was just an old reused render. However, recent aerial pictures suggest otherwise. At the back of the Starfactory, we can see a new part wrapped in white fabric. This is the new Starship flap. Now, when we posted that picture on X, some of you suggested it might be the V1 flap, with perspective making it seem like it's at a sharper angle. However, after some perspective correction, it is clear that this particular flap is just different. While the original flaps are mounted at a slight angle to the vehicle, the angle here appears to be almost double of that. This makes us believe that SpaceX will indeed adopt these new, sharper and smaller flaps. Additionally, Starship Gazer captured it on the ground, revealing that SpaceX internally calls the second generation of Starships Block 2, which actually sounds a lot better than Starship B1. I'm German, I didn't like it either. But why would they even want to change the flap design? It worked during the high altitude tests, right? Great question. Elon actually suggested this change back in 2021. According to him, the design used in the current generation just isn't the most optimal. Due to their location, the flaps have a large passive area that cannot move and only adds to the vehicle's drag. Ideally, you'd want a smaller area with flaps moved further to the leeward side to eliminate these passive sections. This would also improve the ship's control authority. Very important. While we don't yet know if their location will change, the shape definitely will. As for the looks, I do actually like it. What do you think? The Block 2 part pipeline is getting way more efficient as well. If we look at the back of the Starfactory, we can see that the building now connects directly to the second megabay. They've also added a side door to the building, which means SpaceX can now roll sections straight from the factory, making the stacking process faster and cleaner. It will be challenging to see the stacking, but with so much stuff happening daily, there is no shortage of activity to keep us engaged. Now, speaking of Starfactory, the building itself almost reached its final footprint. All the phases are now connected, and recently even the HVAC units were installed. Since some sections are inaccessible to a typical crane, SpaceX completed the installation using a sky crane, a special helicopter capable of lifting heavy weights. These are extremely rare to see in the wild and in action. And while the size of the Starfactory is already impressive, it might grow even further. If we look at the office mezzanine under construction, we can see foundations being laid between it and the Starfactory. These foundations match the factory's footprints almost perfectly, suggesting that SpaceX might bridge the gap, extending the factory. Then there is also this patch of dirt still owned by someone other than SpaceX. Perhaps they're waiting for the court case to finish before expanding the factory even further. We've also got an aerial shot of the parking area currently under construction behind the base. Using prefabricated concrete parts has already sped up the process, and as you can see, it is getting close to completion. It's crazy to think that just 3 weeks ago, not a single piece of the main construction was in place. In addition to the parking area, there are a few miscellaneous things around the production site that I want to highlight. For example, did you know that SpaceX created a Booster 4 monument? If we move to the rocket garden right next to the human landing system mock-up, there is a small area featuring a grid fin from Booster 4, which was scrapped a few weeks ago. Unfortunately, since Remedios is no longer accessible to the public, getting a ground view of it would be difficult. Why did they do this now and not a few months ago? Regarding the prototype itself, you can still find its aft section, and adjacent to it are the Raptor engines, at least what's left of them, which are just the power heads without the nozzles. If someone from SpaceX is watching and doesn't know what to do with those Raptors, I'll happily take care of them even if they don't work. Now let's return to Massey's, as there is still a lot to cover there. From the air, the facility is starting to look pretty clean. The most interesting feature here is the new static fire stand. It visited the production site on May 8th and returned with a surprise Ship 26 on top. The entire contraption was then moved over the flame trench. Currently it's closed off using the maintenance platform, and a lift underneath Ship 26 suggests that workers are preparing the prototype for further testing. Unfortunately, we couldn't take pictures from the other side, as that would require violating Mexican airspace. However, it appears that the ship quick disconnect might have been connected to Ship 26. It is still unclear when or if we'll see a static fire of this prototype, but it looks like that it will eventually happen. At the back of the trench we can see the water system, and next to it is a cryogenic tanker, likely refilling the nitrogen supply, which could indicate that the flame bucket testing is right around the corner. Over at the front of Massey's you can see the aforementioned Ship 31, which has since returned to the high bay. Hopefully SpaceX will be able to fix it. More importantly, there's the brand new can crusher. Its main ring has been completed, and to its left there is a new platform. This platform will likely hold a quick disconnect panel, as pipes leading to it connect to the tank farm. Intriguingly, behind it we see another set of legs and pieces that will form a ring. This suggests that the can crusher might have 2 or more levels, but how exactly this contraption will work remains a mystery. Perhaps it's possible that different levels will allow testing of vehicles of different sizes, such as a full super heavy prototype and a smaller test tank. One thing that's pretty clear is that any prototype inside the crusher will be equipped with this blue ring. Special lines are then attached to the ring and the base of the crusher, with pistons pushing from the bottom. Hence the name Can Crusher. Hopefully in a few weeks we'll learn more about how exactly this device works. Lastly, I want to talk about Kathy Lueders' talk again. She dropped a bombshell of information on how Flight Test 4 will continue and what we can expect for the future of Starbase. First of all, she said that the launch license for Flight 4 is expected to arrive at SpaceX around Memorial Day or in the week after. This year, Memorial Day falls on May 27th, so it is exactly 10 days from the day this episode was published. Memorial Day is one of the most important holidays here in the United States, so I don't expect SpaceX to launch a Starship on that day. In my opinion, May is off the table, but the beginning of June looks excellent. Ms. Lueders also talked about progress at Starbase. We follow the construction progress of Starfactory closely. Ms. Lueders assured everyone that it would be finished before the end of the year. Since it's already almost done on the outside, the rest of the work is very likely connected to internal machines, workplaces, and other infrastructure. This basically means that we'll see a huge increase in Starship manufacturing speed at the beginning of next year. Lastly, SpaceX might be going into the road construction business. Highway 4 simply was never built for this, and the constant strain from thousands of trucks is killing the road. That is why SpaceX is looking into building a secondary pathway, a new highway leading to Starbase. It's not entirely clear how and where SpaceX intends to build this, but it will be very important for the future of one of the most important Starship launch sites for the foreseeable future. More roads mean that everything depending on outside delivery will be sped up further. That's it for today. Remember to smash that like button, subscribe for more awesome content. This is what fuels the algorithm and helps us immensely. Check out our epic shirts in your favorite Space Nerd store. A link is in the description. And if you want to train your space IQ even further, watch this video next to continue your journey. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you again in the next episode. A few hours later. Because you were huge. Communication, perspective making. There it is.